Look closely at this image. You have never seen the moon like this before. Not from a telescope, not from a satellite, not from a rover. This view was captured by human eyes, 4 pairs of human eyes, pressing against the windows of a spacecraft just 6,500 kilometers above a surface that no one had visited in more than half a century. What you are seeing is the far side of the moon. Raw, brutal, ancient. A world that has faced away from Earth since before humanity existed, and that, until April 6, 2026, no living person had ever seen up close. Today, I'm going to take you through the most incredible images ever captured of our moon. Images that NASA's Artemis II crew transmitted back to Earth during their historic lunar flyby. But I won't just show you what they look like. I'll tell you what they mean, what they reveal, what they hide. Because each of these images carries a secret, and some of those secrets have been waiting 4 billion years to be seen. It begins here. April 1st, 2026, Kennedy Space Center, Florida, Launch Complex 39B, the same pad from which humanity first left for the moon. At 6:35 p.m. EDT, NASA's Space Launch System rocket ignites. 4 astronauts, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, are pressed into their seats as 8.8 million pounds of thrust tears them free from Earth. Look at the plume in this image. That column of fire and smoke represents something much larger than a rocket launch. It represents the end of a 54-year wait, the longest gap between human deep space missions in the history of spaceflight. The last time humans left Earth's orbit was December 1972, Apollo 17. Gene Cernan stepped off the lunar surface, climbed back into the lunar module, and closed the hatch. And for more than 5 decades, that was it. No human being had gone beyond low Earth orbit again, until now. This launch is the sound of that silence finally breaking.
Now look at this. This photograph was taken by Commander Reed Wiseman on April 2nd, just 1 day into the mission, following the critical translunar injection burn that sent Orion permanently beyond Earth's gravitational grip. This is the moment of no return. Africa dominates the center of the frame. You can trace the entire coastline, from the Strait of Gibraltar in the north, down through the Sahara, all the way to the Cape. Europe sits just at the edge. The South Atlantic stretches wide and dark. But look more carefully. In the polar regions, 2 faint arcs of green glow against the darkness. Those are auroras, the northern and southern lights, simultaneously visible. A natural light show playing out across a planet that has no idea it is being watched from 30,000 kilometers away. And at the very edge of the globe, almost invisible, easy to miss, a thin blue line, a whisper of atmosphere. That layer, barely 100 kilometers thick relative to the size of the planet, is the only thing standing between every living creature on Earth and the absolute void of space. The astronauts called this image "Hello World." They weren't wrong. Now we arrive at the moment the entire mission was built around. April 6th, 2026, Flight Day 5 of the mission. The crew has been asleep, drifting toward the moon, which has been growing in the windows day by day. And now, there it is. The moon filling the frame. But not the moon you have ever seen before. The top half of this image shows the familiar near side, the hemisphere that always aces Earth, marked by its vast dark plains called Maria, the ancient seas of solidified lava that give the moon its distinctive face. But the bottom half, look at the bottom half. That is the far side, completely different, chaotic, mountainous, cratered to an almost incomprehensible degree. None of those smooth, dark plains, just an endless, punishing topography of ancient violence. Why are the 2 sides so different? It is one of the great unsolved puzzles of planetary science. The leading theory: billions of years ago, Earth's gravity pulled most of the moon's volcanic heat toward the near side, leaving the far side cold, rigid, and unable to resurface itself after impacts. A world frozen in time, the oldest face of our nearest neighbor. Running across the boundary between these 2 worlds, at the center of the image, is a dark circular stain. That is the Oriental Basin, 600 miles wide, 3.7 billion years old, one of the youngest large impact craters on the Moon, and one that had never, not once, been seen with human eyes before this moment. Think about that. A structure larger than the state of Texas, and no human being had ever directly seen it until April 6, 2026. And then came this. 6:41 p.m. EDT, April 6, 2026. 3 minutes before Orion would pass behind the Moon and lose all contact with Earth. 3 minutes before total radio silence. 3 minutes before 4 human beings would be more alone than any people in history. And in those 3 minutes, they captured this. Earth, a small, blue, crescent-shaped light, setting behind the curved horizon of the Moon. Swirling white clouds visible over Australia and Oceania on the daylit side. The rest of the planet plunged into night. And in the foreground, the terraced walls and central peaks of Ohm Crater, sharp and ancient and completely indifferent. NASA has already called it a new view of Earth. Many are calling it the image of the decade. It echoes the most famous photograph in history, Earthrise, captured by Apollo 8 astronaut William Anders on December 24, 1968. In that image, Earth appeared rising above the lunar horizon. Here, it is setting, disappearing, slipping behind the Moon as the crew prepared to be swallowed by silence. In 1968, we saw our home emerging. In 2026, we watched it vanish.
This is the moment that no image can fully capture. At 6:44 p.m., Orion passed behind the Moon. Every signal, voice, data, telemetry, went dark. Mission Control in Houston received nothing. 4 astronauts, moving at thousands of kilometers per hour, were completely unreachable. More distant from home than anyone since Apollo 17 in 1972. They were 400,000 kilometers from Earth, behind a world, alone. And then, 40 minutes later, Orion reappeared. And the first words transmitted back to Earth came from pilot Victor Glover. "To all of you down there on Earth, we love you," from the Moon. And as Orion swung back around the far side, the crew witnessed something that instantly recalled the most iconic moment in space photography history. Earth rose above the lunar horizon. A delicate crescent, barely illuminated, just the upper edge catching the sun, glowing a soft blue-white against the absolute black. The planet's lower portion fading into night. This image, the new Earthrise, has already been directly compared to Anders' 1968 photograph, and there is one detail that sets it apart. The 1968 Earthrise was taken by accident. Anders had not planned to photograph Earth. He looked out the window, grabbed a camera, and captured the shot on instinct. This Earthrise was deliberately composed, planned, waited for. A crew of 4 pressed their faces to the glass as our world lifted back into view, and they photographed it knowing exactly what it would mean. 2 kinds of wonder, separated by 58 years. Prepare yourself for this one. As Orion emerged from behind the Moon, the sun slipped into perfect alignment. The Moon, positioned between the spacecraft and the sun, blocked out the solar disk entirely. 4 astronauts, floating in the Orion capsule, watched a total solar eclipse from lunar orbit. But not the kind we experience on Earth, not the 2 minutes, the 3 minutes, the brief and desperate totality that eclipse chasers spend lifetimes chasing across continents. This eclipse lasted 54 minutes. 54 minutes of totality, at a vantage point no human being had ever occupied. Look at this image. The Moon is a perfect black disk, its far side dark, featureless, giving nothing away. And around it, a halo, a ring of impossible light, the solar corona, the outermost layer of the sun's atmosphere, a plasma that reaches temperatures of 1 million degrees, visible from Earth only for seconds during totality, and here visible for nearly an hour. The crew wore eclipse glasses during the partial phases, just as you would on Earth. But during totality, they stared directly at this.
And look more carefully at the image. The left edge of the moon glows faintly, not from the sun, but from Earth. Our planet, 400,000 kilometers away, is reflecting enough sunlight to illuminate the lunar surface. The moon, lit by the light of Earth, Earthshine. And the bright point just below the moon's lower right edge? That is Saturn. And further right, Mars. Two planets caught in the same frame as a solar eclipse seen from lunar orbit. This is the most extraordinary astronomical image captured by human hands since the Apollo era.
Now look at the surface itself. This is the lunar terminator, the line that separates lunar day from lunar night. But as pilot Victor Glover radioed back to mission control, it is anything but a straight line. Where sunlight strikes the moon at near 0 degrees, it reveals a landscape that vertical photography cannot show. Every crater wall becomes a fortress. Every ridge becomes a knife edge. Every valley becomes a bottomless void of shadow. Islands of light, Glover called them, peaks catching the last angle of sun, surrounded by darkness so absolute they seem to float. The crew described looking down into shadows so deep they said you could fall straight to the center of the moon. In the center of this image, shot with a handheld camera at 400mm focal length by a human being flying 6,500 kilometers above the surface, is Vavilov crater, sitting on the rim of the Hertzsprung Basin. Two catastrophes separated by time. Hertzsprung Basin formed over 4 billion years ago, one of the oldest scars on the moon's surface, more than 570 kilometers across. Then, much later, a second impactor carved Vavilov directly into its edge. Smooth lava plains on one side, chaotic rubble on the other. The transition is visible in a single frame. 2 extinctions, 2 eons, 1 photograph. And hidden within the Earth-set image, quietly, almost invisibly, is perhaps the most human moment of the entire mission. As the crew flew over the boundary between the near and far sides, Jeremy Hansen spotted 2 small, unnamed craters near the Orientale Basin. He radioed mission control and asked for permission to name them. One they called Integrity, the crew's nickname for the Orion spacecraft that had carried them safely to the moon and back. The other they called Carol, for Carol Taylor Wiseman, Commander Reed Wiseman's late wife, a nurse in a newborn intensive care unit. She died in 2020 following a battle with cancer. Her name now rests on the surface of the moon, where it will remain as long as the moon itself exists. Mission control fell silent after the transmission. Some things are too large for words. April 10th, 2026, the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. The Orion capsule, nicknamed Integrity, hits the atmosphere at nearly 40,000 kilometers per hour, generating temperatures approaching 2,760 degrees Celsius on its heat shield, a firestorm visible from the ground. Parachutes deploy, the capsule slows, and then a splash. Navy divers in the water, helicopters overhead, 4 astronauts, smiling, alive, back on Earth after 10 days in deep space. Christina Koch, who is already the woman to have spent the most time in space, is now also the woman who has traveled further from Earth than any human being in history. Victor Glover is the first black astronaut to fly beyond low Earth orbit. Jeremy Hansen is the first Canadian to travel to the moon's vicinity. Reed Wiseman carried his wife's name to the lunar surface and brought it home. Artemis II was not the destination. It was the proof. The proof that the Orion capsule can sustain a crew in deep space, that the SLS rocket can deliver humans to the moon, that the systems work, the training works, the mission works. Artemis III, scheduled for 2027, will test rendezvous and docking in Earth orbit, and Artemis IV, targeted for 2028, will attempt to put humans on the lunar surface for the first time since 1972. After that, a permanent presence, a lunar gateway station, a path to Mars. Everything that comes next begins with these images. These photographs of an ancient, scarred, magnificent moon, taken by human eyes for the first time in half a century. And one of those photographs has a woman's name written into it forever. If these images moved you, don't leave now. Subscribe, leave a like, and share this with someone who needs to look up at the sky tonight. And tell me in the comments which image hit you the hardest. Because one thing is certain, we are only just beginning to come home.